Oh man, now this situation had me heated for a while because it happened to me in general and from a dude that I considered to be a close friend. Well, he wasn't a close friend after he tried to set me up like in the eighth grade or so. Everybody knew he was lying about some videos that was shown on his phone. So so I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna leave that for another story time. But this chick, this story takes place like around when I was in the ninth or 10th grade. And the dude that I considered was a close friend, this summer gun betrayed me. So what happened was that I was fresh off of having a crush on this girl that I was talking about in a few episodes ago. Her name was Taylor. And Taylor, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna get her and stuff, this and that. And I was moving on about my situation. I was just moving on about my life and whatnot, because I'm like, I don't feel a lot of love with her and stuff. And I was just looking for some other girl to crush on. And I finally found out, looked at her. And now this girl I was always going to school with from the 8th grade all the way up to the 10th grade and stuff. And I never really started looking at her until I got up to the 10th grade. And I'm looking, I'm like, I said, okay, she kind of bad though. I said, we was still growing up and stuff. She rode my bus. And so I tried to talk to her as much as I could and stuff. And I didn't, like, I was just fresh off the hype of my other homeboy that was telling me. He was like, yeah, man, she liked bad boys, this and that. I didn't know who I was back in high school, so I had this facade. Like, I had to try to act tough to try to get her, and never, ever, 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 people, hear me out, change who you are to try to match some girl. If a girl's gonna like you, she's gonna like you for who you are. You know what I mean? But anyway, back to the story. So the chick, I didn't know who I was. The chick, she was sweet. She was shorter than me and stuff. And she stayed in a rough part of the city over here. Close to me, but at the same time, she was a little good distance away. So, but at the same time, she wasn't rough herself. She was good looking. She was shorter than me and all that. So I would always get my bike. I was riding over there to the other apartments that she stayed in. And to everyone that knows me personally, to some of my closest friends that I got now, you all know what apartments I'm talking about. We don't dare go over there now because it's too much going on and it's too much drama. So anyway, she was over there in the rough part of the neighborhood and stuff. And one day I was telling my pastor, I'm like, yeah, I said, yeah, man, he was asking me how school was going and stuff. And I told him school's going good and stuff. I said, man, I got me a crush, pastor. He was like, oh, you got your crush, son? I'm like, yes, sir, I do. And I was telling him about her. He was like, she sound pretty nice, sir. And then I said, yeah. I said, she's over not too far from, she stay in the other apartments that's not ours. And then he looked at me, he kind of raised his eyebrow. He said, son, that's a rough part of the, that's a rough part of the neighborhood, son. He said, is she not rough? I'm like, nah. I should pulled out my phone. I always was having the girls that I was liking pictures on my phone and stuff, which that makes me look like a little creep when I was in school. I showed him a picture. I said, nah, I said she's in the complete opposite of this. And he was like, son, he said, just be careful dating girls from over there because they tend to have dudes and stuff, rob them and all that, just stupid stuff in general that I could get hurt over. So a few days later, we get on the bus and stuff. We all headed home. It's cloudy outside. It's in the middle of winter. And we all just going home, just minding our business and stuff. And I'm sitting there trying to talk to her and all that. We talking up a storm and stuff. And a few weeks before, we were sitting in the same seat and stuff, like super, super close. I'm like, okay. I said, I'm gonna ask this. I said, I'm gonna ask her to be my girlfriend one of these days, man. And so what happened was, the dude that I considered that had tried to set me up the year before or something, like in the 8th grade, that almost got me in trouble. He looked, he said, hey, old girl. I'm not gonna say her name or anything. He was like, old girl, come here. And then she looked at him, she was like, boy, what do you want and stuff? She was sitting right beside me, right? And She was like, boy, I'm not coming over there. And then she was laughing and all that. He said, girl, he said, you know you want to come over here with me. You know I look good and stuff. And then I'm like, oh my God. I said, this dude, I said, he gonna mess up everything. And then I'm sitting there. I didn't want to say anything. I was just gonna see, like my homeboys told me. He said, if she gonna want you, she gonna want you for who you are. And then I'm sitting there. I'm like, please don't go over there. Please don't go over there. And then at first she didn't go. I'm like, all right, cool. And then he was like, look, he said, I want you to come over here and I want you to sit on my lap. She just kind of turned around. She just started laughing. I'm looking. I didn't know what the laughing meant. I thought she was just laughing at him just to laugh at him because you stupid or whatever. And then I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, yeah. I said, she laughing at you, you dumb nut. And then all of a sudden, somebody behind me, he was a Mexican dude. He tapped my shoulder. He thought I was thinking that was good because he heard me what I said, saying that, okay, dude, you dumb nut, she ain't gonna go over there. He tapped on my shoulder and he said, hey, Carlos, that laughing isn't good, man, because she's considering it. I turned and looked at him. I'm like, what do you mean she's considering it? He said, that laugh meant that she's really thinking about that, man. She's really thinking about going with her. I looked at her. She was just sitting there, just talking to him and stuff, laughing and all that. And he said, come on over here, girl. Come on over here. Come on over here. And then I'm like, she ain't gonna go over there. And all of a sudden, she gets up out of the seat that I'm sitting in, and she heads over there to him. I'm sitting there. I looked. I'm like, dude, what? I was hurt. I'm like, she sat over there beside him and all that, right? And I looked, I raised my arms up like, bro, what are you doing, man? And then he looked back at me. He just kind of winked at me. I'm like, so the funny thing about it is he knew I had a crush on this girl. He knew. He 100% knew. He knew this. He looked at me and then he said, come over here and sit on my lap. That's what I want you to do. She kind of looked down. She looked up at him and then she went over there and sat in his lap. I'm like, I just sat over there. I wanted to get up and punch him because I was jealous as crap. I was super jealous. I was thinking to myself, I had this chick. I had her right in my palms, but this nigga snatched her away from me. And then the Mexican dude behind me grabbed me by my shoulder. He was like, look, man, he said, she's not for you, man. He came up there and sat in the seat beside me. And then he was like, look, man, he said, it's all right. This kind of stuff happens. You got people that do this type of stuff that don't want to have nothing for themselves and all that would take other people's stuff. I was super mad. And then we were just sitting there. I wanted to cry. The seat I'm in serious. I didn't know how to control myself over a girl back then. I was so mad because you violently snatched this chick from me that I liked you, and I knew she liked me back because of all the heated stuff we was always talking to each other about and how she was acting in her eyes and stuff. Just the way she would look at me. And she was sitting there and all that. He was like, look, Carlos, she's for the streets, man. You don't do. I was sitting there. I'm like, man, I want to give her another chance, but I'm scared of what she's gonna do if she decides to get back. If I get with her, if she leaves me for this dude, I'm sure I'm gonna be mad then. And we looked, me and the Mexican dude, we sitting in the seat together, and she just sitting in his lap, just sitting. She pulled out her phone, just going through her phone and stuff. She was too, I can tell from how she was looking, she was too scared to turn around and start talking to him and stuff. And the crazy thing about it too was, he grabbed her around the waist and I was looking, just pissed. I was just pissed at him. I looked, and then he leaned over into her ear. He didn't say it quiet enough, but he said it in a low enough whisper to where we could hear him. He said, girl, so what you gonna do? You gonna let me get up? So what now? And then me and the Mexican dude, we looked over. We turned real slow. I wanted to say, man, F you, man. And then he said, dude, he said, did you not know we can hear you, man? And he said, you didn't, he said, what the F? He said, I heard, he said, I was talking low enough. He said, no, you wasn't. He said, you was talking low enough, but loud enough to where we can hear it. And he said, man, get a room or something, man. I was mad. I was sitting there. I wanted to get up, but I couldn't. The dude, he just looked. He said, look, man, he said, he was just trying to keep me calm because he knew I was mad about it. But yeah, so it was another, after that, I don't know. I didn't know what to say about the situation. I was just so mad about it. I remember this as clear as day. I started hating the guy after that because I was 100% sure that they had sex, whatever. I was 100% convinced. If she did all that and his homeboy yelled at, "Hey, her heart beating, man," I'm like, man, yeah, she definitely went home and got smashed up by him. And I was so angry. I was so angry. And you know what's crazy? I still liked the girl after that. I wanted to give her another chance, but the Mexican dude, he was like, "Nah, man, you probably should just leave that alone. If y'all did get together, no telling what she might do to get with another guy, whatever." I'm like, all right, man, you got a point. You got a point, but yeah, just pick your friends, everyone. Pick your friends. But I hope y'all enjoyed this story time, and I hope to see y'all in another one. And if y'all liked it, y'all tell some crazy stuff what happened to y'all when y'all was younger. But overall, peace out, everyone. See y'all in the next story time.